Hi grade 6 and welcome to another Trees and Forest lesson. Today's lesson is called How Humans Help Forests. Your learning target for today is I can identify human actions that help forests in Canada. There are many ways that humans help forests, and we could probably spend 10 separate lessons looking at all of these different ways. Today we are going to focus on two specific ways, and we are going to be watching two separate videos that describe how two citizens are helping the forest and then how a larger group is using forest fires to actually help forest ecosystems. Before we watch those two videos, I would like to take a peek at the Government of Canada website just to see some of the other ways that humans help forests. So I was considering having you use this website to do a little research, but changed my mind. However, if you are interested in forests and how humans can impact the forests, and specifically for good, I would encourage you to take a look at this website. You can simply Google Government of Canada Forests, or just follow this link that you see at the top. So you can see things like forest fires, insects, and diseases are special considerations that organizations and the government use when they are considering how to help the forest. You can see how the government has set up different laws and regulations that protect our forests, and that also includes industry in forestry and different rules that they need to follow in order to use forest resources. Before we watch our first video, I would like to give you a preview of what you will need to do in Seesaw that relates to this video. So your question in Seesaw is, after watching the first video, describe 3 ways Sophia and Ray are protecting the boreal forest. Please use full sentences and check your answer for COPS. So please note, as you watch the next video, you should be looking for 3 specific ways that this couple is protecting the boreal forest. Before we begin the video, please find a blank piece of paper or a notebook, as well as a pencil. You can pause the video to find those materials, and then come back and start the video.
Born here. This is where my roots are. This is where my mom and dad raised me. This is where I connect with them. We are Anishinaabe. We've been here for thousands of years. We've seen a lot as a community.
Anishinaabe are a living culture. We live with the land, we live through the land. The land and the people are the same.
My name is Sophia Raplauskas.
My name is Ray Raplauskas.
The Anishinaabe a name for Poplar River is Azadewzipi. This was where the trappers and hunters would launch their boats when they traveled up the river. It's an isolated community. The population here is about 1,300 people. It's 400 kilometers north of Winnipeg, along Lake Winnipeg. It's right in the middle of the boreal forest. Anishinaabe really believe that they're inseparable from the land. From the time where we were born, our parents taught us to take care of the land around us. There is a sacred spirit that lives in the water, and we have to maintain the health of that water and the rivers and the lake. And same thing with the land. We're not the only ones living on this land, but there are diverse species that live on this land and depend on that land for their survival. Tumatrinaki means land that gives life, because it really describes, why the land is important to the people.
People don't believe they own the land. They say this is the land we consider to be our traditional territory. And what we see here is because you can see they've done a good job. They worked hard at protecting this land for generation after generation after generation.
And that's what the communities that are working together to designate this area as a World Heritage Site fits in. That land has been our means of survival as people, and we will continue to work together to keep it that way. Growing up, my dad hunted this area, and he provided for his family. And that really gave him pride in who he was as an Anishinaabe. We were very self-reliant people. The culture of our people is very alive, very vibrant. I think we have, as people, a lot to share, especially at this time. My granddaughter is 6 and my grandson is 10. We're trying to teach our young people to understand the importance of what our people went through and why it's important for them to preserve the land. Definitely noticed some changes, especially in the winter time, how the river and the lake freezes. It's different from when we were growing up. Our elders have really understood that these things were coming. Their understanding of how we lived in this circle of life, they call it. You do something somewhere, it affects other people's lives or other part of the world. And the scientists come along and validate what they say. By protecting the trees, we're helping the planet. And we need to share what we have here. When I need healing, I go to the land and ask for that healing. And that's what I want to be able to pass on to my grandchildren, to be proud of where they came from. I want them to go out on the land, listen with their hearts, and to learn the word, even just respecting who you are, respecting the land, respecting everything that's around you, everything that's alive. I wanted them to know that and feel that, to walk gently and softly on this land so that they will be able to pass that on to their children.
All right, I would suggest pausing the video now and answering that first question. And when you're ready, come back for the second video and the second part of your Seesaw lesson. Let's preview the second question. It says, after watching the second video, describe how prescribed burning can help return forest ecosystems to a healthy state. Please use full sentences and check your answer for COPS. So as you watch this video, I would like you to continue taking notes specifically about how these planned fires actually help forests.
Every summer for the last few years, large numbers of wildfires have destroyed hectares and hectares of trees and threatened forest communities.
On average, BC has about 2,000 wildfires per year, but that number can vary considerably from fire season to fire season. We've had as few as in the 900 and as many as 4,500. So there is a lot of variability in that number. About 50% of those fires are caused by people, and the other 50% are caused by lightning.
Humans have not only caused some of these wildfires, but by continuing to promote fire prevention in the forests, humans have actually contributed to an increase in forest fires. If that sounds somewhat strange, stay tuned to find out about the role that fire plays in the forest and how forest management strategies like prescribed burning help to return forest ecosystems to a state of balance and health.
We've learned over the last 100 years that we spent the first probably 80 years, whether it was with Parks Canada or with provincial forest agencies, always putting out fires, fighting fires whenever they came onto the landscape. Through more recent research, we've learned how important fires are at renewing a forest.
While fire is nature's way of thinning the forest and promoting biodiversity, the economic and socio-cultural impacts of wildfires are devastating. Loss of valuable timber not only impacts the forest industry, it impacts many other sectors, such as tourism, wood markets, and jobs. Due to successful fire suppression, trees in the forest have multiplied, filling open spaces and overtaking grasslands. Species such as the lodgepole pine that rely on fire to prevent crowding have increased throughout Western Canada. As the pine trees age, they become weaker and more susceptible to drought, disease, and insects. One particular insect that is causing havoc across the Western Canadian forests is the mountain pine beetle. Native to the pine forest, this rice-sized beetle actually helps forest renewal by thinning out aging pine forests. Due to climate change and rising temperatures, as well as unhealthy forest conditions and fire suppression, the mountain pine beetle population has exploded.
Our best scientists, both federal and provincial, tell us that we can expect to lose 80% of the mature pine in British Columbia by the year 2014.
So the question is, how can something so small kill an organism so big? And especially given that this organism here, this tree, is capable of producing a whole bunch of toxic resin when it's actually attacked. And that is, the beetle carries with it spores of a blue-stained fungus. And what it does is it's boring through the bark of the tree. It inoculates at the point of penetration these spores, and the spores grow very quickly. And what they do is they actually shut down the resin production by the tree. So the mountain pine beetle is interrupting one of the most important vascular systems of the tree. To add to this dilemma, the pine beetle epidemic has another consequence. Trees killed by the mountain pine beetle create huge fuel reservoirs just waiting for ignition. Throw in climate change and hot, dry summers, and you have a recipe for wildfires. Unfortunately, we can't simply let nature take its course in the forest. Since wildfires pose unacceptable risks to public safety, everyone involved, government, non-government, industry, and the public, must be open to new ways of restoring forest health. Strategies such as letting fires burn, thinning forests, planting new species, and in many cases, fighting fire with fire or prescribed burning are being implemented.
Well, prescribed burning is probably not much different than it has been for thousands of years. It's where people choose the time and the place to light a fire. They have some objectives they want to achieve with that fire. I think it's one of those things you can develop quite a bit of skill for.
Prescribed fires grow better forests, creating natural mosaics and better habitat for wildlife and domestic animals. They lessen the intensity of future wildfires by introducing natural fire breaks and reducing forest fuel loads. Prescribed fires promote native biodiversity, stimulating fire-dependent plants to reproduce. Prescribed fires are part of a sound ecosystem management and restoration plan.
All right, please go back to Seesaw and click on the template and complete those 2 questions. And that is the end of your science lesson for today. Thanks. Bye-bye.